welcome back onto the program. It's still the conversation on Lagos Television, the Friday edition of the program. Now, communication is key in every relationship, but how much key is communication in a marriage? How can couples also strive to strengthen their communication skills? I added skills because indeed it is a skill. It is a skill in marriages. Is it a make or mar item or ingredient in the success of marriages? That's what we intend to find out on the program today. Strengthening marital communication is the focus on the conversation today. And we do have a family life coach and a counselor with us here on the program today. Join us as we welcome Nike Adedokun for Langbade. Thank you for being here, Nike.
Thank you very much. So nice to be here.
Right. So let's just look at what communication is generally before we narrow it down into a marriage. How key is communication in everyday life?
It's very key because every time I have counseling sessions, communication is always at the core of the issues, whether you're dating, whether you're married, whether you're engaged. You just notice that when people cannot communicate well, they begin to disconnect. So many times when you see people begin to withdraw, they live like strangers in the home, it's not because they don't love themselves. It's because they've not understood the power of communication. And as long as you cannot communicate and the other person cannot understand what you're saying and your own expressions are not validated, then nothing is going to move forward.
When I said a skill, my colleagues were quick to say, yes, it's a skill. Is it really a skill?
Yes, it's a skill because communication is 7% of words, 38% of tonality, and 55% of body language.
So it's a combination.
It's a combination of a lot of things. There's active listening, there's empathy, there's building rapport. So it's not just coming to say, hey, I want to talk to you. I have something to say. It's not just that. It's really, even, you know, when I want to talk to my husband, hi, I'm Mel Cole. He is phlegmatic. So we'll talk about personality types. And these different personality types have different ways that they communicate. He is a bit, you know, calm, wants to take his time, wants to think about it. Hi, wants to talk about it now. I want to talk about it now. I want to put in so much energy. I want to talk on and on and on, just so that everything I want to say is making sense. But that's not how to communicate to him. That will just make him disconnect.
Okay.
So I've had to learn, relearn, and unlearn, yes.
Okay, I was going to ask you that no matter how long your marriage is, if you have not taken your time to study your partner, because, okay, if you are the outspoken type and your partner is the reserved type, how do you know when to engage, and what are the signs that one might see to know that, okay, we really need to talk?
Okay, now when issues are going on in the home, for those who are married, definitely the one who is more outspoken wants to talk about it, you understand? But the truth is, the first thing you want to do is to read the room. There are things you want to talk about, but the timing and the approach is wrong. So there are times you have to teach yourself how to relax a bit, how to pause a bit. Think about what you want to say. Make sure that this person is in the right mood. You can't go and talk to an angry man, a hungry person, or a moody person. These three things must be looked into. So when you want to talk to your partner, you're looking at him to say, okay, I think he just came back from the office. Or, okay, I think my wife is busy. She has been cooking since morning. That's not the time to start talking about core issues. You have to wait till the environment is relaxed. You have to use a soft tone. You have to be respectful when you're speaking to your partner. Sometimes a man is speaking to his wife as though she's the child or a slave. And the woman is trying to defend herself, like, you can't talk to me like that. And so both of them start to, like, go against themselves with that energy. They've not even talked about the issue.
They've not
talked about the issue. It's still the approach. It's, don't talk to me like that. Oh, you don't have respect for me. Is that how to talk to me? They've not talked about the issue. So when people learn how to put in the right approach, the right body language, use the right tone, then they listen to themselves. You then have to, like, acknowledge what your partner is saying. And you don't have to agree to acknowledge. That's what people don't understand.
The other partner is not willing to talk?
So when the person is not willing to talk...
Because some people, they suck up their emotions.
Yes. Over time, this person became that way due to certain things. Maybe they've noticed that when they're talking to you, you're always talking too long, you're always too forward, you always speak down at them, you always insult them. They've already learned that the best way to manage you is to go quiet. It didn't start,
and then you get angry that when you're quiet, you're not saying anything.
But it didn't start from the beginning. You understand? They are started in the first place, and the person has been like, oh, okay, I think this one has problem. Okay, no wahala, let's be silent. And then even the phlegmatic partner, sometimes they don't want to stay in the same room with their wives at that point. They'd rather go and sleep in another room. Some will even go to an hotel to sleep because they don't want to talk about the issue at that point. You know, every personality have a way that they communicate, and it's important to understand.
Personalities, because again, a lot of people do not even know themselves.
Exactly.
So if you do not know yourself, if you do not know where you're, you know, how your emotions run, the kind of personalities that you are, your own exhibitions, then it's going to be pretty difficult to know how to navigate around this thing. So how can you discover your own personality?
Okay, so I think the first thing to do is to know yourself. You know, many people do not take time to study themselves. If you cannot study yourself, how do you want to study another person? So we have a lot of tests online. We have assessments for personality type, but let's even assume you don't even have access to internet. You can sit down and say, what is it about me? How is my wiring? Sometimes you also want to look at your parents, because personality is a combination of the genetics, your environment, your upbringing, everything, the traits, your character trait from your parent forms your personality type. So sometimes just looking at your father or your mother to say, who do I look like here? Okay, my dad or my mom. How does my mom act? How does my dad act? Write these things down. It starts to help you understand what it is about these people. Then you go for a test. The test will help you confirm what you're saying. Now, we have 4 different temperaments. We have the choleric, we have the melancholy, we have the sanguine, and the phlegmatic here. And so the sanguine is the very bubbly, talkative, loud life of the party. The melancholy is the moody, very critical, perfectionist, very analytical, pay attention to details. Then we have the choleric. These ones are bossy, domineering, aggressive, but then they like to get things done. They like to take on task. They are project-oriented, and so they are always working. And then we have the last one, which is the sanguine. No, I've mentioned the sanguine, the phlegmatic. Okay. So it remains the phlegmatic. The phlegmatic is the calm, very passive, laid back, does things at their own pace, likes their comfort zone. So when you look at this temperament, say a melancholy is married to a phlegmatic. Because the phlegmatic is passive, does things when they like, not when you like. The melancholy would always be critical in their approach. Another thing with the phlegmatic is they can be lazy. They would rather pay someone to do their task. Wash my clothes, clean the house, don't stress me. So what happens when a man and a woman, you don't have a nanny, you don't have a house help, and you're both in the marriage? What's going to happen? The phlegmatic wants to just sit back and just, you know, press their phones and just enjoy themselves. The other one is like, oh, madam or guy, you can't be doing these things. Before you know it, he's always going to be complaining. Right. Yeah, so those are the things happening with them. It's not like they don't love themselves. People can go to the court and say, I want a divorce. It's not like they don't love themselves. It's because they've not understood themselves. I just sit in counseling, I'm looking at them arguing, I'm like, okay. If I explain, sometimes I explain their issues before they talk. Because they feel the assessment, I already have the results. So I just say, okay, these are some of the issues you'll be facing, this, and they're like, how did you get that?
Okay, so what are those factors that are making us to communicate less in our homes today? You mentioned phone now. Some people, they will stay on the phone from morning till evening. So what are those factors that are responsible for less of communication in our marriages now?
Okay. So you see, phone is a distraction. Let's go to the root cause itself. The first thing that couples must do is to change from I to we. That mindset.
Teamwork.
Yeah, it's teamwork. It's not competition. It's not rivalry. Every time you're in your marriage and you feel like you have to win your wife, or you have to oppress your husband, or you have to make sure that this person is not ahead of you, your communication is always going to be one-sided. It's always going to be how you can please yourself. I want to go out, don't disturb me. When I like, I'll come. That's because you're focused on yourself. You understand? So the first thing is move away from that hi to we, us. The second thing you want to do is to heal from your childhood trauma. A lot of people are in their marriages and they have not healed from what daddy did and what mommy did. They are treating their wives like daddy treats their own mothers, and the other one too, you understand? So people are just like, no, my mom used to do this thing, and this is what daddy used to fight about. I think I need to fight back. Whereas this person does not even understand what your mom did or what your father did. So you need to pay attention to how you grew up. We have different attachment styles. We have those who withdraw. We have those who are secure. We have those who are fearful. All of these people would relate with themselves differently. So people use phones as distraction. People use work as distractions. People hang out with their friends because their friends accept them. And that's the third point. Many times there is no acceptance. A lot of people just want to conform their spouse to their desires. I want you to eat this way, dress this way, walk this way, everything your way. What about understanding the person, where they're coming from? I had a session one time and this lady was saying, I want him to eat eba with fork and knife. You cannot come and embarrass me how to. And this guy is like, can't you just allow me to be myself? And I'm like, what kind of argument is this? Is this a thing of a concern, like what you're using to eat? But that's how bad it is. The way you grew up matters a lot. So you have to like accept your partner. Don't marry someone with the intention that you will change them. Look at their weaknesses now and ask yourself, can I cope with this person?
Right.
Not even their strength, because their strength is good enough.
Yes.
The weaknesses, can you manage it? If this person drops plates in the kitchen for 3 days already, you come during the weekends and you're seeing maggots in the pot, it shows that when you get into the marriage, this person will not lift a thing.
Yeah.
So we want to do housewife material. So the women will go and clean up the whole house.
Thinking it will change.
Thinking it will change. But when you get to the marriage, he will watch you do everything by yourself.
Because you already started
You already started it. Do you understand? So there's that one. Then there's also studying your partner. Many people don't study their partners. They're instead wanting the person to just behave the way they want. You need to study this person. What are their value systems? What are their personality type? What makes people connect in marriage is their values. One person likes God, the other person doesn't want to hear about God. What would they discuss about? One person likes money, the other person is lazy. These are value systems. So values are the principles that determine how we relate, how we connect, who we hang out with. That's why you see a person say, I like this person, but another person saying, she's not my type.
Right.
Why? Because they don't sync.
There's no connection.
There's no connection. Do you understand? Yeah. Let me allow you to ask more questions.
Yeah, so sometimes when the kids start coming,
Yes.
communication also,
Yes.
there's also a drag or a big hole. Some will say, oh, especially the fathers, they say, now you spend more time with the kids and you're neglecting me. So how can, especially mothers, cope at that time when your children start coming? How much of attention should you still pay to your husband?
Now, that looks like a problem, but that's not the real problem.
So what's that real
There's a
problem?
root cause, lack of friendship. Many times when a woman gives birth, the man sometimes just disconnects a bit, focuses on his thing, allows her to just go through it by herself. Do you know how many women have gone through
Marital
the whole depression, and they don't even feel like their partner understands what they're going through. There's no emotional connection. You leave her alone to take care of the child. She wakes up in the midnight to take care of the child, but all of a sudden you want to come and have sex, or you want to ask for food. Definitely you're going to disconnect.
Right.
But the moment the both of them are going through the process together, you are always coming to gist. Oh, how can I help you? That is where they will be bonding.
Okay.
Do you understand? So sometimes women just withdraw because they see that you
It's
only
not
care
all
about the
about
child.
me.
Even the in-laws, everybody, let's carry the baby. Nobody's thinking, are you okay? Do you feel headache? Do you need to rest? So what do you think she will do? She's going to focus on the child as a source of strength and love at that point. So what I would say to people is communicate about these things. It's sometimes a man doesn't even know.
Yeah,
That
they don't even understand.
there's
what
a way
you're going through.
to
There's a way
show
to
love.
help.
So ask for help. Oni, I would really appreciate if you come and pat me a bit. Can you cuddle me? Can we talk about the pregnancy process? You know, talk about these things. A lot of African men did
I was
not
going
learn.
to come to the African thing, no, African men.
Yes, a lot of African men
African men,
don't
please.
know.
You're an African man. African men, they will tell you, please, I am not wired this way.
Exactly.
Let me go and hustle for money. That is my business.
Yes.
And so you hear things like, I beg.
At least I've provided. I hear that during session, like, I've provided for her. What does she want? And I'm like,
They don't understand that there has to be that,
there's
that
no
lovey-dovey.
intimacy. And so when I asked them, how was your father and mother? Just the normal thing. My dad drops money, he takes the decision. Mommy just say, yes, mother, yes, I. And that's all. So they don't have an example of
to look up
affection,
to.
of intimacy, of attention. It's not there because...
Can it be built?
Yes, it can be built. You see, people should go into marriage with the mindset that I want to make it work. So people go into business ready to make it work. They go into any form of enterprise, building skills, getting tools, investing in themselves, seeking mentorship, right?
Right.
So what happens to marriage?
Marriages are not come as a
Marriage is our own. We know how to love ourselves. We don't need help. You need mentorship, you need tools, you need knowledge, you need skills. You need to find these things. So people think that having those infatuation and love is enough when they get married, but it's not true. When you get married, you start seeing yourself, familiarity. Before you know it, everything will enter. You know, life responsibility. So you need to learn. That's why we have premarital counseling. We also have postmarital counseling. We also have mentorship. You need to learn that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you say to yourself is, what can I do today to make my partner better? How do you also respond to the nudges of your partner? Those little, please, can you help me put that thing there? You do it, not, I beg, I beg, I beg. Can't you say I'm the man? What do you mean? Why are we talking to me like that? Every little question, your husband says, oh, I feel like eating pepper soup. And you're just like, well, I beg. That's a little request. Every time you meet your partner, so you're building emotional bank account, right? It's love language, expressing. Maybe we'll talk about love language.
Okay, talking about love language now, we have seen some partners use sex as a weapon. Be it man or woman, because you fought a day before, because you had some misunderstanding. When it is night and you try to touch them, they'll tell you no. How do we handle
So
such?
you were here expecting a yes?
Okay, what if it's coming from the man to the woman or the woman to the man?
So you see, when there was an issue in the morning, say they had an issue, you don't just jump into, oh yeah, now.
Let's settle it.
Let's settle it.
Let's talk
right?
about
We can use that to
about
settle
it.
it.
No, talk about it. You see, women are more emotional.
Sure.
And when she's not in the good mood, she's just going to be there like a log of wood if she just wants to please you. And some of them will not even answer you. For a man, it's not, there's nothing emotional about it. It's just to, let's do this thing. Let's get this thing done. And the whole stress just goes, you understand? So it's important that it tries to even settle the issue before that bedtime. Don't make it look like you're looking for something. That's why you're resolving the issue. Then start sending chats. Baby, you know I'm missing you. I know we're fighting, but I'm missing you now. You know, as little as that, things that makes her get awakened. By the time you now want to settle it tonight, it becomes easier because she sees that you understand that she feels bad. But not that you just come and drag her and say, what do you mean, we must do it? No. It doesn't work like that.
So another thing I'd like for us to talk about is it's either of the opposite sex. It happens with the woman, it happens with the man. They know how to keep malice. They can do it 1 week, 3 weeks, you're happy, and then everybody's just there. How bad really is that in every marriage?
Yeah, it's a very, I don't want to use the word bad because for some people it's a coping mechanism. So
who said yeah?
I can't function. Yes, you can't function.
I can't.
But you see, there are certain personality types that's how they function. They're trying to protect their walls.
Okay.
So let me use an example. Someone came to meet me and said, oh, my wife is always practicing silent treatment, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I tried to help him, but it wasn't helping. And I said, okay, can I talk to her? So we found a way to talk to her. And when she opened up to me, she had told me that this man was always forcing her to do things, putting so much expectation, so much pressure. She had gone through pregnancy yet, do this, do that, pray this, and everything was just so much that she had to shut down.
Wow.
And so I had to give him the feedback that, can you see? It's not like he just wants to
go
silent. She was pushed to that point. But then we have the ones that, while they were growing up, they always had to suppress their emotions because daddy and mommy don't want to listen to them. You know, daddy and mommy, they're like military, is a military home. Shut up, don't say a word, keep quiet. So they have learned over time that their opinions
does not matter.
So it's like a way to cope. But the truth is, it's a punishment to the other person.
Right.
Because the other person cannot function. I cannot function in a silent treatment place.
I can't do.
You know, I will not be able to work. I will not be able to focus. My body will just be doing... So they need to learn to heal from what they've gone through.
It's deep.
It's deep, yeah. And sometimes we need to have a couple counseling, not one person, so that you listen to the other person, you understand what's happening to this person, and then you meet in the middle. So sometimes I say, listen to her, let her talk. Listen to him, but don't interfere. If you have something to say, write it down. The essence is so that you understand. And then when we're done, I will say, did you understand what the person was saying? Don't try to just fight. You're not trying to respond from a place of, I want to fight back, I want to defend. You need to listen first to understand what your partner is saying. When they don't feel like you're listening to understand, they would go into silent treatment. Yes.
Okay, so how do we handle friends, family members in marriages in such a way that they will not impact our homes negatively. And I know there are some guys, for guys, you serve them food, they will say, no, I'm not eating your food. They will leave it on the dining. And for women, you buy them certain things, and they will reject your gift.
Because they're angry, but?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with the first question when it comes to friends and
Families.
in-laws. So I feel like before you get married, both of you should talk about these things. How do you set boundaries? Who do you want to talk to when there are issues? But now let's talk to the married people. When you're married and you have noticed that your parents, your friends, they are always interfering, the first thing you want to do is to stop reporting issues to them. Because sometimes they don't have access except you're gossiping about what happened with your partner, see what my partner did. You're giving them access at that point. So cut that off first. Secondly is we have parents, especially mothers, who are overbearing. They just want to control situation. As a man, you're the one that can actually stop your mom. Don't put up a fight of mom versus wife. You are the one that can say to mom, Mommy, I am married. The Bible says a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife. It's very necessary. Mommy, you can't talk to my wife like that. Oh, Mommy, you're coming to visit us. You didn't inform us. So when you're coming, please inform me that you're coming so that I will know. You are setting boundaries.
Right.
Maybe something happens, you edit over the phone. She was talking somehow to your wife and you're just quiet. And you're just saying, it's your own business. No, don't do that.
So
Mommy,
you have to fight that battle.
Yeah, you have to fight it by yourself. There are things that I would tell my parents.
On both sides?
Yeah, on both sides. I would also tell my parents, oh, this one. Okay, you want to come? Okay, I'll inform my husband. I'll let you know. They will ask me, have you informed him? And that's how I started from the beginning. It's not like I started in the middle.
Okay.
Do you understand? So it is always that protecting your spouse by yourselves. Don't allow the other person bring confrontation. For instance, your brothers came to the house, they ate, or maybe your sisters, and they did not wash the dishes, or they did not do anything. They're just waking up from morning to night. Don't allow your wife to be the one to say, come and wash the plate. You're the one that should say...
She's not a slave.
You're the one that should say, in my house, like, who is going to wash it for you? Come on, you get up and you don't do that in my house. These are the ways we set the boundaries. So that it doesn't look like, and don't go and say things like, my wife said we should not allow this. My husband said we should not. No, we said, we agreed.
That's team spirit.
That's team spirit. So they will not know how to break in between. Many couples have been are scattered today because of interferences. And then friends, you don't allow your friends to always come into your home every time. Let there be some boundaries. Everybody stay in their own house. Sometimes you meet, reduce what you're saying to them, and especially women. Women sometimes want to tell their girlfriends, see what my husband bought for me. See where my husband took me to. You don't know that you are creating envy. And jealousy by yourself. So these things can bounce back later on.
Let's talk about assumptions. Assumptions also very key when it comes to communication. Sometimes you just assume that maybe, different things really, and then you do not ask questions to validate or verify. So how much of that should we also do? And oftentimes it happens more with the women. You just assume that, things are rosy or things are fine or your husband is in a good space or place, whereas things might be happening. So how much of that should we also make deliberate efforts at both parties now? Yeah,
so I know that there are certain personality types that are very opinionated, like the choleric, the sanguine. They think they understand what is happening, so they don't pay attention to asking questions. What I would say is people make assumptions when they feel like they have access to information about you and they feel like they have formed the opinion. So every time something happens, they're quick to say, I know why you did that. It's because of this, whereas that's not the reason. So I'd say that it's important that we respect ourselves, whether as friends, whether as partners, whether you're dating, engaged, married. Respect is what makes you say, I noticed you did this. What happened? Okay. What caused it? You ask questions. And don't feel like some people will say you are lying. Like someone is explaining something and by yourself, you're just saying they're lying. Even if you know they're lying.
Just keep it to yourself.
Sometimes you're just like, okay, no problem. I'll find another way to come back to this issue. But you're quick to like, oh, you're lying. No, don't tell me that before you know there's argument. Listen to people, ask questions. Repeat what you have said or repeat what you heard so that you're sure that you heard what they said. Because there's something called twisted communication. Sometimes a person is saying A, they're both saying the same thing, no? But the way this person will say it, you'll be like, no, that's not what I said. Listen, is this what you mean? oh, this is what you, okay, you wanted to go there. Oh, I see. As simple as that makes the other person feel respected in the relationship.
Okay.
Okay. Still talking respect now. A couple of times I've seen people fight over their phones, not sharing their passwords.
Where did they even mention that thing this morning?
Or we should also apply we when it comes to our phones.
So if you have access to your partner's body, why can't you have access to their phones? Anytime a partner is holding on to their phones, they head two things. So we know that there are certain professions like doctors, lawyers, counselors who have to have private conversations with their clients. But then we have more of those who have a secret life. Those who are building another family on the phone. Those who are saying things like, I will soon come and meet mommy, but you're married, just because you want to sleep with her. A lot of things are happening on these phones. And now WhatsApp has even made it very easy to cheat. We now have locked chats, archive chats, face ID. So even if you have access to the phone, what if the person used their face? How do you want to access it? What if the person locked certain chats? How do you want to access that one? So what I would say is when there's mistrust, when there's no transparency in a marriage, that's when all of these things come up. We have partners, I've heard of a partner who said, my face is one of the face ID for the phone. I'm like, wow, that's another level. That's another level. Like, they already use your own face as, maybe they have 2 passwords or something. We have people who have their emails connected together, right? We have couples who spend money together. So when there is real love, and they were both naked and unashamed, when there is real love between 2 people, where there is no dishonesty and all of that, password is not going to be an issue.
Okay. Counseling, I think a lot of people are now embracing counseling. It used to be alien to us here. But then, because that's what you do, have you also started seeing older people come for counseling, or is it still restricted to young couples, intending couples, and people who are very ready to make their marriages work?
Yeah, so sincerely, I would say that it's been more of the 40s downward, 30s and all. Sometimes when we see this 50s, usually it's maybe the daughter or the son saying, I want you to speak to my parents. It's not like the parents said, oh, I want to talk to a counselor, because they still have that mindset like, oh, let me go and talk to pastor. And let's even talk about that a bit. Sometimes we want to take our issues to pastors and all of these religious people, but these people, their job is different. They don't have we know that some people have the grace to counsel, but there are other skills, because you don't want to be limited to experience and opinions or what you just feel. There's something about getting to the root. So if you notice some of the questions you're asking, I'm telling you why it's happening. Right. So when we sit with a person, I don't want to assume that your issue is the same thing with this other person's issue. So the first thing we do is we take you through assessment. When we go through the assessment, we see all the problems. During the session, there are things people have forgotten about. That will come up, and they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe that this has been the issue. This thing that happened when I was 7-year-old. This person spoke to me and I experienced shame, and because of that I've been holding on to so much, practicing silent treatment, and I never knew that was the problem. That is what a counselor that is trained will do. Your pastor will just, I'm not saying your pastors are not doing well, but they will just counsel you, pray for you, and then you go back and you're with your issues again and again, right? So I would say that older couples should also open up for counsel, because they have gathered so much baggage in them. And when you don't resolve these issues, it leads to sickness, diseases. A lot of people are treating sicknesses in their old age because of bitterness and resentment.
Okay, so no matter the challenges, of course, marriage will always be challenging.
Yeah.
How do we stay close? How do we stay strong?
I would say prioritize spending time with each other. Don't say we don't have what to talk about. When you were dating, what did you used to talk about? People used to do 12 to 4:30 midnight call. Some of our young people, they don't understand that when we say these things, they'll be like, when was that? There was a time when there was 12 to 4:30. What are you talking about? You just talk and talk about your day, just about this person. That's how you must continue in marriage. Don't leave it now to official issues. You talk about work. If there's no work, children. If there's no children, that's all. No. Talk about little things. Oh, see this gist. Oh, come. And sometimes even seeing something on Instagram and just sending it to your partner can spark up a conversation. Right. Just about anything. What do you discuss with your friends when you hang out with a drink? Is it not normal conversations? So do that with your partner, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is check in with your partner. How are you feeling? And it takes humility to do this, because the other person knows that they're at fault for certain things, so they don't want to ask questions. How are you feeling? Are there things you feel like I should stop doing? Is there anything I'm doing recently that's bothering you? If you are not ready to change, definitely you cannot ask that kind of question. Maybe they're going to tell you, why are you flirting online with other girls? You know you don't want to stop flirting. So definitely you'll not come and ask that question. Do you understand? And then sometimes you see a partner say, I feel like I'm not been acting well. Can you tell me 3 things I'm doing wrong? And then this man tells, whoever it is, tells the other one. And then they now say, okay, can I also tell you your own? I've told you. Go and fix yourself. You are the one that has the problem. This thing happens a lot. So check in with your partner a lot. The third thing I'll also say is, I think that every family should strive towards having a clear vision of what they want, a goal of what they want. How do we want to build our marriage? What are we looking at? See, if you don't have a clear vision of what you want your marriage to look like, you're going to end up worse than your parent. You may think you're trying to run away from what happened to them, but you may become worse because you had access to their own mistakes and flaws, but you did nothing about it, or you are wishing it away. Don't wish those things away. Sit down and process them. There was something that happened to you when you saw daddy eat mommy. It's stored somewhere in your subconscious. You may feel like, so some people will say, I will never eat my wife. But the words they say and how they behave is even worse than eating the wife. Do you understand? And then we have women who are actually fighting their husbands because of what daddy did to mommy. So they're not vulnerable, they're not respectful, they're not submissive, they're not doing things the right way. Why? Because they don't want to go through what their mom went through. So these are things happening in homes today, right? Study your love languages, right? Maybe you like gifts, you like physical touch, there's words of affirmation. There was this day my husband was dressed with a particular body hug. Every time he wears that body hug, it always looks different on him. I sighted him, I noticed it, I took my eyes off, but then I told myself, tell him he looks good on that dress. So I had to bring back my face and say, this dress really fits you. If you see the way he reacted like a child, he was just like, I was just like, what is this now? He really liked it. And that's how much
we should express it.
Yes, be expressive. He would tell me, so you didn't notice my haircut. I'll be like, so these are things. The same way we women want you to say, see my hair, it's fine. It's the same way a man wants you to say, your haircut is nice. So those validations, make it easy and make it normal to say things like, I love you, I miss you. Make it easy. I know that our African, our background, we didn't have those things.
So
now we're teaching our children, but you can learn. Break those trauma, those patterns by putting yourself in the shoes of, I want to be a better person. Yeah.
Right, Nika, before we allow you go, does it matter who says sorry?
It does, actually.
It does.
Because many times, some people struggle to say sorry. So there are 2 people who say sorry in a marriage. The one who is humble enough to make the marriage work, and the one who is fearful not to lose the marriage. The one who is fearful would find themselves saying sorry even when the other person is actually guilty of what they've done. Just because you don't want to cause any issues. You just remember that that's how daddy and mommy used to fight, and daddy will say he's going, or mommy used to say she's going. So you don't want such to repeat itself. Out of fear, you start saying sorry every single time. And when you keep doing that, your partner will take you for granted. Right? So we have the other people who struggle to say it because you didn't grow up seeing it, or you have a traditional mindset.
That men don't say sorry.
You understand? So how do men even apologize sometimes? Sometimes they'll just come and start talking to
you.
They start playing with you, or they send you money, or they start trying to,
just be funny,
or they just come and start holding you.
Wondering what's going on.
The woman wants to hear you say, I'm sorry.
Can you text it?
Yeah, you can also text it, but then find a way to come back and express it physically, because we don't want you to always hide. But then we have 5 apology languages. Just like we have love languages. We have those who want you to just say, I'm sorry, and they're fine. We have those who want you to request for forgiveness. We have those who want you to show restitution. Okay, I think I was late, and I'm so sorry about that. I will make up for this by doing this. Do you understand? We have those who want you to be very deep about what you said. So why are you sorry? Say why you're sorry. Because if I tell my husband I'm sorry, so if you tell me I'm sorry, I'm fine. But you can't do that with my husband.
He will ask why you
will
apologize.
Say, why are you saying you're sorry? So you want to be sure that you know what you did.
And you're genuinely sorry
And you're
about
genuinely
it.
sorry about
Okay,
it.
Joy has a question before we allow you go.
Okay.
The sorry question. So, what's your take on peace over rights in marriage?
Peace over rights over. So there are times where issues are happening and you see that it's causing a lot of chaos, tension. Sometimes it's okay to get peaceful, like just leave the issue for now.
Okay.
People sometimes feel like they have just 1 month to deal with issues, whereas you're going to be married for 50 years.
Lifetime.
There are issues that you need to go back and maybe seek mentorship about, sometimes pray about it, sometimes be patient. For instance, there were certain things my husband used to do. I did not understand why he was doing it until I sat with his mom. And she started to tell me things about how they grew up. And I started to like, okay, I
pieced
see.
it
It was
together.
just so clear.
Okay.
So when he does it now, instead of getting angry like I used to do, I now understand that
Why?
his upbringing
Okay.
is affecting this. And so I find a way to be patient. So now when you want to fight over your rights, be patient about it. Try to understand where they're coming from. Sometimes your partner know they are wrong and they are hiding. They are so ashamed of themselves.
To own
up to that
Right.
truth. So the way you present it, don't start trying to poke them. You did this, you did that. Sometimes you want to say, so, okay, why did you do this? Don't worry, you're free to talk to
and
me.
perhaps not at that moment.
Yeah, sometimes not at that moment. It's okay to still, prioritize friendship over being right. Sometimes still talk to yourselves. Still serve yourselves food, eat together, but you're coming back to that issue. You're just
has to
waiting
be
for the right
resolved.
time. Yes, it has to be resolved.
Joy, so choose peace over rights.
It's clear, huh?
All right, thank you so much, Nike Adedoku Folagbade, family life coach and counselor, for finding time to be here on the program.
You're welcome.
It's been an exciting one. Thank you again
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you.
All right, that's the much we'll take on the program today. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the conversation continues on the other side.